But being in Rupp, we'll always, for our game day operation, this will always be unforgettable because in 2010 there were 22,000 people in this building for a TV show. That's hard to. Where else do you get that? Nowhere. Nowhere. Yeah, Duke game was a lifetime ago, it seems like. So that was an anomaly, and it might have been. I mean, it was probably the best Duke's played, and it was the worst that Kentucky's played. So there was a lot of gap in between there. But probably over the last 5 games, last time I saw Kentucky in person was at Alabama. And they're way better now than they were then. They're better defensively. I think they're better offensively too. Tyler Hero is a much better player than he was a month ago. So I think they're on an upswing. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of last year when Shea Gilgeous-Alexander took over at points, and Ashton Hagen's kind of mirroring that, sort of that upward trajectory. And both of them did it with defense first, which is, we always talk about guys having breakout games, and it's an offensive thing. And yet Ashton Hagens has had his breakout on the defensive end, and his offense is kind of following that, which is pretty neat. I know coaches like that kind of thing.
What matchup are you most excited about?
What matchup? I think the point guard matchup between Devon Dotson and Ashton Hagens will be fantastic. Hagens is such a great defender. He's long and he's relentless. And Dotson's tough. I mean, he's their best free throw shooter. He's got a clutch gene in him, and always seems to play his best when the lights are on. So I think that'll be the matchup out front, and then Dedrick Lawson will be whoever he matches up with will be the inside matchup because he's their most important player. He and LeGerald Vick, they're the 2 leading scorers, and Vick is one of the few guys in the country that can get hot and make challenge threes. Like he can make threes with guys all over him and score 30 in any given game. And then Lawson's a workhorse. He's probably the most consistent front court player scoring and rebounding in the country. In his last 5, he's averaged like 22, 10, 60% from the field, 57% from 3 over his last 5. He's been a load to handle.
How do you defend him? You're trying to defend him. What do you need to do to try to slow him down?
Lawson, you mean?
Yeah.
I think you have to make him go to his left because he likes to get to his left shoulder and he'll spin back to it. But I don't think it's a one-man job. I think you got to defend him with all 5 guys. But a lot of teams that have had some sort of success slowing him down have sent 2 guys at him to get the ball out of his hands. I mean, most of the best defenders play their man before he gets the ball. If you play him after he gets the ball, he's going to score. You have to play him before he gets the ball, and it can't just be one guy. So I think your help defense has to be very alert because they do such a good job of they use ball screens, rub screens, drags, and they turn corners. And oftentimes they don't attack. It's not that they're attacking an initial defender; they attack the help really well. And so you have to be. I think you have to be really strong in your help, and then recover. One thing to help, it's another thing to recover.
How much of your thoughts on Kentucky?
That's my SID.
How much of your thoughts on Kentucky changed throughout the year, and how much do you think tomorrow will affect that kind of long term?
That's a good question. I don't think at least what we do and what you guys do, because we're all in the same business. It's kind of funny being interviewed. But I don't think what we do is necessarily making these pronouncements of what's going to happen. Like, I know Kentucky's going to be a different team in a month than they are now, and as long as everybody stays healthy. So when you give an assessment of, okay, this is where the team is now, it's not like you're saying, okay, that's it. That's the end of the growth. That's never been the case, especially here. But a lot of these teams are still getting better. And there was something that I found really interesting. I watch a lot of these coaches shows because they're good. And Villanova had something. Last year's Villanova team that won the championship was talking about winning in the tournament, and they wanted to keep advancing, so they keep practicing and keep getting better. And that was an older team that was trying to win a title, and yet their mindset was, if we keep winning, we get to keep practicing, we get to keep getting better. And so if you can get better at the end of the year through the tournament, I mean, now there's a huge growth curve for a team like Kentucky right now. So this is the next test, but tomorrow is not a final exam. It's just the next test. And so they'll be different in a month. So you're always looking at how they're changing.
Essentially, what you talk about when you bring up Villanova, they talk about Villanova real quick. So that's what this Kentucky
Yeah, I mean that's a fair point. I just don't know that they're the same in that they don't have as many older guys. Like Villanova had a lot of juniors and all that, and guys that had been through it before. It's a little different of an experience when you have so many young players, and then when your older players are sophomores. When the experience you're really relying upon is a sophomore that may have been through it but not been through it, carrying the kind of load that he may be carrying this year. There are some similarities certainly, but the differences are pretty stark. I mean, it's so like Tennessee is probably the team that is more old school in the way they've developed. Like you could say, well, oh, that's like a team Joe B. Hall had in the 80s, where they all came in together, the class came in together as freshmen, they matured together, they got knocked around, they were successful, and then when they're seniors, juniors, and seniors, then they're ready to attack people. And they're more the old model. For guys like us, we remember that. But the newer model of having young guys that are really good, they're not going to stick around as long. There's too much out there for them.
You talked about this team's defensive improvements. Ashton Hagen has been a big part of that. What does Kentucky need out of him tomorrow to do well?
The same thing he's been doing is pressuring the ball and being disruptive. I mean, what Ashton Hagen does is he makes the opposing point guard think more about him than about running their offense. And when that happens, it makes Kentucky's defense better. The only thing Kentucky doesn't do as well this year as they have in years past is they're not a shot blocking team like they've been. And that's where I think Nick Richards is good. If he can play more, he changes them. Like when he came in against Alabama couldn't get the ball to the rim. And then when he was out of there, they're attacking the paint, attacking the rim. And it's not that P.J. Washington can't block a shot. He's just not a shot. He's not the shot blocker that Richards is. And so that's the one dimension that Kentucky doesn't have like they've had in years past, where you went in there and it was like trying to throw a frisbee through the forest. It was going to hit a tree somewhere, and it's not as many trees in the forest this year.
DC Ashton was having a great sense of vision and a great sense of anticipation in how he plays the defense to get this Ashton. And getting those statistics, getting vision, playing the passing lane, angles.
Yeah, I mean he anticipates. So he's I think he clearly understands scouting reports, and he's watched film, and he knows what he's looking for. He's got really good instincts, but all the tools that he has are great. The biggest thing that makes him a great defender is he's relentless, and it is hard to be relentless. He is relentless, and I really mean that. Like I think opposing guards spend more time thinking about him than they do thinking about what they want to do, and then you wind up seeing teams say, all right, let's get somebody else to bring it up, so that their guard doesn't have to bring it up against him as often, and then they're not doing what they normally do. So you're getting the second best version of them because of Hagen's impact on the ball. It's pretty impressive.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.